just waiting for the notification to go out. Where am I? I put this iron jumper on and I'm fucking roasting now. Okay. Okay. Welcome. I still have not hung my pictures yet, which is cool. Which is real cool. The old instant death. I'm going to take this off. It's too hot in here. So yeah, I'm just waiting for a few people to hop in. Planning on hanging out for a couple of hours, chatting. Oh my god. Rookie error. Want to chat about this Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case, and I also then want to play Elden Ring. So I'm here for the next couple of hours. Probably till about 6. I need to get that changed to me quick because it is almost cold. Welcome, Kirks. Why is my phone on Do Not Disturb? I don't know. But that's great. I wanted it on Do Not Disturb. I just didn't realize why it was already there. How are you, Kirks? What's the crack? I must post on Instagram actually that I am live. Go story. There we go. Link. Good afternoon, Mark. Yes, I got a new follower. Hell yeah. So you've saved my soul. I was on 666 followers and now I'm on 667. You've saved me from hell. Well done. What is my fucking Twitch address? Twitch.tv/Clisare. Live now. Live now. So I was just posting on Instagram. That's sent. Okay, done. Just making a bacon sandwich, trying to get my work laptop logged in. Going to unfollow on Sergio Acosta to bring back down to 666. Oh yeah, I forgot about Sergio Acosta. Yeah, I thought we'd do another one of those commentary streams today. I have a lot of thoughts on the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial. And yeah, a lot of thoughts. I have been watching it constantly. I am so addicted to it. So addicted. Welcome, Pagan Plays. Love the Shamrock. I'm still seeing one viewer in my end, but there's 3 people commenting, so it's like, how does that work? Hello, Hippie Duck. Welcome back. Thank you for subscribing again. Yes, Pagan Plays. That is the idea of this stream. I want to talk about the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case. You're from Wexford. Nice. But yeah, I want to talk about it. I have a lot of thoughts on it. Mark, I haven't paid any attention to the trial with Johnny and Amber. Yeah, that's fair. You like. Hang on, I have some notes here. I was like making notes all week. I've actually been glued to this thing the whole week. I've been watching it. I haven't been watching it on Twitch, but I've been watching a lot of Twitch streamers clips on YouTube. Actually, I felt bad after being all in on the Johnny Depp funny memes when Amber made her testimony. There had to be truth in what she said, and what she said was horrific. Twitch takes ages to update view count sometimes, and sometimes it glitches and doesn't update the whole stream. That's good to know. I didn't actually know that. I love the make notes. Yeah, I was like, I've watched so many videos, and I watched a couple there just actually before the stream. One was from Emily G. Baker. And there was another one. Oh yeah. See, here's my thing, right? I have the stairs thing already. So Legal has a good video about it on YouTube. If you have 20 minutes and want to catch up, that's a good idea. I might even watch that. The thing about me, I think Heard filters lies with truth, and that's why they're believable. Likely same with Johnny, to be fair. Yeah. There's always 2 sides of a story. There's always one side and the other side, and then what actually happened. Oh yes, we're close to a hype train. Let's go before we really get into the analysis. But here's my thinking on the whole thing, right? Will I just launch into it, or will we take it bit by bit, I wonder? What I'll say is that I didn't hugely pay attention to this when Johnny was testifying, because I originally was like, I'm not interested in this. I don't care. I definitely was coming into it thinking that he obviously abused her. She wouldn't have said he didn't if he didn't. And back a couple of years ago, this didn't really make the public discourse quite as much here in Ireland anyway. Like, I know that I was aware of it, but I also don't think I cared about it. I don't think we weren't all talking about it, you know what I mean? And I know that I loved Pirates of the Caribbean, and I did stop going to see it, and I stopped engaging with the franchise because I thought Johnny Depp was a wife beater, and my thoughts were like, no smoke without fire. Even though I didn't really know what was alleged and this, that, the other, I was just like, no smoke without fire. And so that's where I was coming from at the start. And I feel like as I've read and watched and kept up with this and tried to catch up, my perspective on it has totally changed. And I actually do think it was sexism. I think it was sexism that I was so eager to be yeah, he did it. Even I know that there was questions. I even knew there was questions back then, but you know, it was automatic believe. And to be fair, you do automatically believe the victim you're supposed to. But, you know, he's alleging that he's also a victim, and I didn't go out of my way to believe him. So I do think that's so Pagan Plays, you might have been more aware of what was actually going on. I knew they'd been in court, but I actually didn't realise that he'd taken a libel case already. Hang on. Portly Caucasian male, welcome, first time chat. I feel they were both incredibly flawed people who could not have been worse for each other and fueled each other's issues further. Okay, so while I agree with the sentiment of what you're saying, like I do think they were obviously terrible together, and they made each other worse. And in particular, there's been a lot of testimony involving drugs in this trial, and I think that the two of them did so many, which I also think is quite ironic. Thank you, Hippie Duck, for gifting a sub to Pagan Plays. I also think it's really ironic that, like, they're trying to paint him to be a drink and a drug addict, and that, like, and draw this correlation that it makes you an abuser, when she was like, she's doing as many drugs as he is. But she couldn't be making the whole thing up, surely. My feeling is that she abused him to the extent that he said, and he abused her to maybe 50% of what she said. So that is what I would have thought at the start. But the more and more that I listen to this trial and follow it, I will say that my perspective is totally changing. Thank you for cheering, Marks. I do think you're correct, Sparhawk, that he is an alcoholic and drug addict. Like, that seems fairly obvious, and I don't think that he's denying that. But she was doing just as many drugs as him. Like, they were doing it together. So surely if he's a drug addict, she's a drug addict. But also, being a drug addict and an alcoholic doesn't automatically make you an abuser. And I think that correlation is problematic. And I think that a lot of the people that I'm talking to offline about this, as in, like, it gets brought up in conversation, it's such a toxic topic of conversation, because people are doing things like, oh, no smoke without fire. Like, she couldn't possibly made all that up. And then it seems that the easiest thing to do to agree is to just be like, sure, they're both as bad as each other. Sure, it is definitely, there's no smoke without fire. They're both as bad as each other. Blah, 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 blah. But here's my key thinking on it, the more that I read about it and stuff like that, is that I don't believe the correlation that being an alcoholic drug addict makes you an abuser, first of all. And then I don't think that that reacting to abuse makes you an abuser. So I think it's sexism, because when I talk about this again with people offline, it's like they're like, well, she probably started it, but he probably finished it, and it's like that's an assumption based on the genders. You're going, well, he's obviously stronger as a man, so if she hit him first, then he obviously better up then after that. That doesn't really follow for me. I'm not sure that I'm on board with that. Portly Caucasian, they both seemed abusive towards each other, and I don't think either was innocent entirely. I think they're both guilty, but only one of them was convicted by the media. Yes, I would totally agree with that. I am not saying Johnny's totally innocent, but what I am saying is that I don't believe this drug addict automatically makes you an abuser, and I also don't believe that reacting to abuse that's being inflicted upon you is abuse in itself. One of the psychologists testified about the concept of reactive violence, which is violence because either somebody's being violent towards you and you're reacting. We could call it self-defense. That's a legally protected right in America, I believe, self-defense. Or presumably because if someone like emotionally and mentally abuses you to the point where you become violent, I'm not 100% sure that I think that makes you an abuser as well. I do think you obviously shouldn't do that, but I just, you know what I mean? I just keep thinking about what if the genders were reversed, and if the genders were reversed, and it was a guy, that was, psychologically winding someone up to the point where they hit them, I would never consider the woman the abuser in that situation, or the other partner. I suppose I'm being very heteronormative. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. I do, hang on. I think Johnny is likely guilty of emotional abuse, jealousy, saying horrible shit when he's drunk or high, but I don't think he's been physical, except maybe in defense. But it's a grey area when it comes to domestic relationships. I would agree with that. I do think maybe he's jealous, but the thing is, I feel like when you're in a toxic relationship like that, that fosters that jealousy. Like when you're in a healthy relationship, you're not going to be jealous or worried about people. And I just can't get over the fact that every ex he's ever had has said he was the opposite of abusive and that he was so lovely and so kind and all this stuff, and they haven't a bad word to say about him. Whereas Amber has, and I don't want to overly simplify this, but like she does have an outstanding domestic violence charge against her with the previous relationship, that wasn't even reported by the previous relationship. It was reported by a guard police person in an airport, saw her hit her, and then Amber Heard, I believe at the time, tried to claim that the guard that reported her for domestic violence was just homophobic, and then it came out that the police officer was a lesbian herself. So it was like, how is she being homophobic? So I do think it matters though. Like I don't think it solves it. I think you could have been an abuser in one relationship and then in the next relationship you can be abused. I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm just saying that that sticks in my head about the fact that they all speak really highly of him. And Vanessa Paradis was with him for 14 years. And also I was talking to someone recently who was like, yeah, well, Vanessa Paradis got $100 million in the divorce. It was obviously hush money. And I don't know if I believe that, because when that was said to me, that shut me up for a while. And then I went off and read up on it, and he gave her half of what he earned in the marriage. Sorry, he wasn't married to her. People keep saying his ex-wife. He was never married before, as far as I'm aware. He was engaged to Winona Ryder, and he was with Vanessa Paradis for 14 years. Why do I know so much about Johnny Depp? This is fucking embarrassing. Oh God. Yeah, it's insane. Thank you for following. Let me move that fucking alert out of my face. I want new alerts, but I can't remember where I got them, so I can't remember where I got free alerts. But yeah, so then there's just a lot of inconsistencies, right? And I'm kind of frustrated with myself that I didn't pay more attention to Johnny's testimony. I kind of got into the trial by the viral clips that were going around of like Johnny making the court laugh and stuff, and that's because, as I said, I wasn't going to follow this, and I wasn't interested in it, and I was like, I don't care, they're both as bad as each other, blah blah blah. And I also, by the way, thought that she took him to court last time. I didn't realize he took her to court. I do think that you can use the courts as an instrument of abuse, and so that would go either way. He's the one bringing her to court. She did bring him to court, obviously, for the divorce, but he brought her, they brought each other, I suppose, but he brought her, or he did the UK libel trial, which ended up bringing her to court, and then this is a defamation trial. So he has brought her to court twice, I would, you could argue. And then I do think that courts can be used as an instrument to further abuse, or legal systems can be, but there's certain massive red flags that I want to get into. So the biggest one for me, sorry, just to go back, yeah, Kirk's, you weren't following to a lot of Twitch streamers. I started watching them. Yeah, I mean, it's like, let me see, Pagan Plays. Yeah, I just don't see how Johnny Depp would be continually bringing her to court if he was guilty. Yeah, so you can definitely use the court as an instrument of abuse, but yes, it would be very silly if you didn't, like, okay, I'm of the opinion, and I said this before, I've said this to Alex before, and we've been talking about court cases that are popular, or like in the public eye, I suppose. Popular is the wrong word. That like when certain things get settled out of court, I'm like, I would never, if I didn't do something, I would never settle. I'd never settle. Now, I know that that's a bit of a privileged position here in Ireland, because like I might be able to get legal aid, or there might be some, it wouldn't be as expensive maybe as the US, but I still feel like if I was fully innocent in something, I would trust the court system to do its job, and I wouldn't settle out of court. I'd be like, right, let's do this. And so that makes me think, like, why would he keep going to court for this? And why would he agree? Why would he want to televise? Now, someone has said, I don't know who said it, but someone said that he wanted to televise because he's a narcissist. And that is potentially true. They're probably both narcissists. Like, famous people are probably narcissists. It's not news to anyone. But like, and then some people have been saying, well, the reason he wants it televised is because he wants to win in the court of public opinion, which I think is really important, because he absolutely lost in the court of public opinion. Like, during the Me Too movement, I heard the Johnny fucking Depp name. Oh my God. I heard the Johnny Depp, obsessed. I heard the Johnny Depp name, and I was like, yeah, not going to see any of his movies anymore. I didn't watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like, I was like, I'm not supporting, because I support things with my money where I can. That's my thing, is like, I want to support things with my money, or with my support, or with me showing up, and I don't want to support things with any of those things if I don't agree with it. And so if I stopped supporting the Johnny Depp movies and films, and I know that they've been good and people have been like, they're brilliant, and I'm like, I don't care, I'm not watching it. And I've done that. So I totally understand that he wants to clear his name in the court of public opinion, because, like, look at me over here in Ireland, having never met him in my life, like, thinking he's a wife beater. You know what I mean? And so, hang on, sorry, I'm just going to catch up with chat. The American family court system is used by one side to manipulate the other in a huge amount of domestic splits. Yeah, see, that's when I know that it can be used as an instrument of abuse. The legal strategy of wealthy people in large companies is dragging into the courts for so long the plaintiff can't afford to continue the battle. It's a super flawed system, so people have to choose whether to continue their battle and lose their homes, pay for attorneys, or accept a settlement from the guilty party. Yes, so I do understand that. So that's why I'm saying it's kind of a privileged position to take, because maybe I would have an easier time maybe defending myself in Ireland. I don't know, I suppose, but I would assume that, like, I would be able to get legal aid or something if I needed it. Maybe not if I wanted to sue somebody else, but if somebody was to sue me or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. But that does it does. But then on the flip side of the coin, you have to ask yourself, like, why did Amber agree to have it televised? Because they both had to agree. I was watching a video yesterday. I want to say it was Emily D. Baker, but it might not have been. But some commentator was saying that they both had to agree to do this, to have it televised. And I understand why, if Johnny wants to prove his innocence, wants to make up some ground in the court of public opinion, why he would want to televise. I cannot understand why she would agree to it. I cannot, unless the only thing I can think of is that maybe she is narcissistic, or has all these disorders that one of the psychologists diagnosed her with, that we're going to talk about in a second, and is like genuinely believes herself. And that's why I think that when people are saying, oh, she could have made it all up, or it couldn't be out of nothing, I do think it's what she's saying is probably built on some kind of truth, but I actually think a lot of it is what she did to him flipped, to be honest, or like totally exaggerating what happened. And again, I'm going to get into why I think that, but oh, Kirks, if Dennis O'Brien took you to court, you might end up settling. Man's a monster with slap suits. Allegedly. Why did I read that out? Who? I don't know what you're talking about. He's a very nice man. Move on. I don't think she has a choice in it being televised. I could be wrong, Kirks. I definitely saw someone online say that they both had to agree to this. But it, I could be wrong. They could have been wrong. I'm pretty sure she tried to get the trial dismissed 4 times, and then the judge denied it and put it to trial. So yes, so that's another thing, is like, she definitely tried to get the trial dismissed. Now, apparently the motion to dismiss after the case has been made by the plaintiff, I keep getting confused between plaintiff and defendant, is par for the course. It's like standard practice. Thank you for following. My alert box is too small, I can't read it. So apparently that's, I'm Hazrat, welcome, first time chat. So sorry, yes, apparently that's like standard procedure. It's like, that's what they do. So I'm not going to read into the fact that they tried to get it dismissed after his case was made. I am just really annoyed at myself that I didn't watch more of Johnny's testimony and his witness testimonies. I only kind of got into it in the last 2 weeks. And it was because clips were going viral and I wanted to see what it was, and then it was live and I ended up watching it. And I watched some of the witnesses from his side, but I didn't watch them all. And I watched quite a lot of her testimony and I haven't really watched as much of his. So like there's stuff now that I'm catching up on that I was like, during her testimony I was like, oh fuck, holy shit. And then I like go back and watch his testimony and I see, oh actually they've already acknowledged this and said that that's not how it happened, if you know what I mean. So I'm trying to like piece it all back together. Pagan Plays, there's a body language specialist breaking down the body language and it's super interesting. Yeah, so I've saw that as well. I haven't actually watched that because I remember it coming up on my recommended and me being like, maybe I'll watch that later. I don't want to get too into like stuff that is going to prejudice me, if that makes sense. So like I will maybe watch the body language stuff in a while, but I haven't watched it yet. I am wary of falling into a trap of like believing what everyone believes. I think that at the start of the trial, when I wasn't still watching it, and I had read a little bit. Thank you for gifting subs, Mark. I had read a little bit about it, and as it was kind of getting started, my thought was that she was an abuser and that, you know, maybe he engaged in toxic behavior and reactive violence as well, which means he's not innocent, but not that he's not an abuser, like he's not the instigator. And that was my thinking on it. And then I thought that was a controversial opinion, so I was like, do you know what, I'm actually just going to shut the fuck up, say nothing, because maybe I'm wrong, and I don't want to be out there publicly saying that I don't believe someone who is a victim. So, you know, I think it was a very controversial opinion at the start, but sorry, Kirk's good catch. Yeah, I have to say now, I'm Hazard. I'm not stupid enough to just read something that you've said in a different language. Like, come on, I'm Irish. We do that to people all the time. We tell people, anytime someone asks what anything means in Irish, we tell them to say, can I go to the toilet? It's like an Irish meme. Okay, so I'm not stupid enough to read out something that without checking it in Google Translate first. Thanks for catching that, Kirks. Mac Attack, thank you for resubscribing. Welcome. Thank you again for gifting subs, Mark. So, where was I? Sorry, I'm just gonna keep talking. I'm just gonna keep talking. And so I just don't know where to fucking start, right? So, okay, why don't I just start with the most recent thing I watched? So I watched a video by Emily D. Baker today, breaking down the fact that Johnny Depp's attorneys have put in a motion for sanctions because basically they had asked for digital evidence that was relevant to this trial to be given to them, like photos basically, and that was supposed to be given, the court had ordered that stuff be given over by November 2021, so a long time ago. And what they were going to do, she explained, and again, I'm no Emily D. Baker, right? So she's on YouTube. Look her up. Check out her Short Bites channel and get her kind of summary of these kind of things. But she has but I'm just going to try and sort of what's the word? Summate what she said, or like I'm going to try and communicate what I understood from what I watched in her video. Hype training coming. Hell yeah. Oh no. Oh no, a lawyer has joined the chat. Oh, bollocks. Could you go away and go back? Oh God. Where was I? What was I saying? Oh yeah, so anyway, and she said that they were supposed to give photos by last November for forensic analysis, which I understood to be like checking dates. I was joking, you can say if you want. But it might annoy you how bad my legal takes are. But you're welcome to say. So what I understood to be like checking metadata, checking dates, stuff like that. And then so they were complaining that the stuff that they got didn't hash out, which is I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what that is, but I understand that it's some sort of like the way she explained it was that the dates on the photographs were like from the 80s and stuff like that, and it's like it's impossible because she wasn't born yet. So they're like they're not. They want to check the what is the word? They want to verify the photos and make sure that they weren't photoshopped or changed in any way, but they can't verify them because the metadata on them doesn't line up with what it should be, is my understanding of it. And so they said they also got things like they got a photo drive which was encrypted without the encryption key and without the password, and that they had to then go and like reset in order to get access to it, and it had like 58,000 photographs on it that were almost all irrelevant. And so basically Emily D. Baker was saying that Johnny Depp's attorneys are making the argument that they're time wasting, that they're just trying to like time waste and not give the proper photos that they need to give or whatever else. So like that's suspicious to me, to be honest. I think that if I was trying to prove my innocence, I would be more than willing to give anything I had to do that. Hello Alan. I think the withholding, personally, and again, total base opinion, I think the withholding of evidence is a red flag for me. Okay, so that's one thing. That's the most recent thing I watched. Then also what I was watching a lot about was the stairs comment and the fact that like they were delighted that she brought up Kate Moss because, and again, regurgitating what I've read and watched elsewhere, but I think that they can now either bring in Kate Moss as a witness because they've mentioned her, or they can bring up her exes because she's brought up his exes by name. So now because there are certain things that were off the table in this trial because they weren't relevant. Like Kate Moss just wasn't relevant to the accusation of defamation and the op-ed and their relationship. So, but now that she's mentioned her by name, that they can get her in as a character witness in Johnny's defense, or they can bring up her exes, and of course she's got that previous domestic violence charge. Kirks. Yeah, what's that all about? I'm worried because the lawyer reacted. Team Amber will see it coming. They might. The thing is, though, I don't know now. I don't know if this go for the legal teams. I was actually wondering this the other day, but I know that the defendants and everybody involved are not supposed to be on the internet. They're not supposed to be watching the coverage. They're not supposed to be seeing the reaction. So if that goes for the actual lawyers as well, then they won't have seen that. You know what I mean? So we've seen that he went, yes. But like, they might not have seen that in court, and they shouldn't have seen the reaction online. But see, yeah, so Kirk's, that's what I was wondering. Can the lawyers engage in this or watch this online? I don't know. And I'll tell you, I don't think so. And why I don't think so is because there was a big point made by Amber Heard's lawyer about a specific type of concealer that she was using to cover bruises, right? And it was this big point made about how she had to carry this specific concealer in her purse all the time to cover bruises all the time. And then the brand who made the concealer came out to say that concealer didn't actually exist when this was all alleged to have happened. So it wasn't our concealer. Now, there's it could have been a mistake. Like she could have just held up her current concealer, right? And not, yes, level 1 hype train. She could have just held up her current concealer and just not thought about the fact that it's not the like exact same concealer. And like, I totally understand that we could be taking that way too literally. So hang on, I'm trying to share this feckin' emote here. There we go. So I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt on that one, in fairness. But I think that if the lawyers were able to watch YouTube and able to watch TikTok and see everything that's trending and see everything that people are interacting and engaging with, they would have brought that up. They would have said, well, actually, this company released a statement to say that it couldn't have been their concealer. But they haven't. So I'm assuming that they can't do that. And yeah, Kirk's exactly. I'm giving it as a pass as being a prop. And there is a jury, yes, Mark. So one of the criticisms with Amber in particular is that she's telling her story to the jury the whole time. So if you watch, she's like looking to the right, she's constantly talking to the jury, not to the person who's asked the question, and not to the judge. And whereas Johnny was kind of not, he did look at the jury a couple of times, but he mostly looked at the lawyer who was asking him the questions. I think as well, when I look back on some of the clips that got me into watching this, one of the clips was the Mega Pint clip. And in retrospect, I thought that was very funny at the time. It was a clip where Rottenborn, which is an awful name, I'd legally change my name if my name is Rottenborn. There's my hot take from the whole Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp trial. Clip it and ship it, as Kirk says, right? I would, if my name is Rottenborn, I'd legally change it. So quickly. Yeah, so if somebody wants to clip that for me, clip it and ship it. But yeah, that's my hot take from the whole trial. So what was I saying? Yeah, so he goes, did you pour yourself a mega pint of wine? And Johnny goes, a mega pint. And it was a really funny reaction. And so that was one of the clips that first got me into watching all this stuff. But in retrospect, now that I'm watching a lot more of it and I'm listening to all the really serious accusations and all that kind of thing, I'm that had such prejudice in it, that question. You poured yourself a mega pint. Come on. You don't need to exaggerate like that if you are in the right. That just seems ludicrous to me. A mega pint. A glass. And he goes, I poured myself a large glass of wine. There's two totally different things. He didn't pour himself a pint of wine. A pint of wine. Are you joking me? And he didn't pour himself a mega pint of wine. He poured himself a large glass, which we all do of a Friday night, okay? It's wine time on Friday nights, is it not? And so, basically, don't judge the man for having a large glass of wine, okay? Because some of us like to have a large glass of wine. Every now and again. So there's just some stuff, some things, ways in which they phrase their question that I think are quite biased. Like that. You poured yourself a mega pint. Did you pour yourself a mega pint? And then he's where I feel like a lot of our lawyers' questions are incredibly leading and biased, but I guess they're trying to catch them out. Maybe. Did we hit a button with the mega pint, Claire? Can a woman not just have a mega pint of wine? Welcome, Aoife Williams, first time chat. Mark, it's common for lawyers to exaggerate in court from my point of view. Yeah, so this is the thing. I don't normally watch court cases. So, so there's everything that this is just the way that it works. And yeah, I am very excited. Yes, Pagan Play is very interested to see the cross-examination of Amber Heard. The thing is, right, so again, I've been watching her testimony and some of the stuff she says in her testimony is awful. And I'm oh my fucking God. But then I go back and rewatch Johnny's or his witnesses or even her own witnesses' testimonies and they don't match up with what she's saying. So the thing is that every incident, it seems, that she talks about that involves other people, the other people don't back up her version of events. And if she's not telling the truth about incidences where other people were there to witness it, how can we trust that she's telling the truth about incidences where they were alone? You know what I mean? Not a single, the stairs story. The bodyguard who was there testified opposite to her. She was Johnny was about to push my sister down the stairs, and the bodyguard was no, he wasn't. I was between him. In particular, the lawyer asked him a question and this is another interesting thing about our lawyers is they ask questions, right? They go, is that correct? And then the witness goes, that's not correct. And then they just ask the next question. It's bananas. It's what? Yeah, and I just don't get how the photos are so mild compared to what he says. See, exactly, that's my point. And it's a lot of people are also pointing out the fact that she has like lots of photos of him passed. That was another one, passed out. And even Johnny was like, you could call that asleep. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and again, having a mega pint of wine and fucking falling asleep, right, doesn't make you an abuser. Also, people are questioning the fact that she said that they had this massive fight where they were fucking killing each other, basically, and then she took a sleeping tablet. And people have pointed out, like, if you were afraid that somebody was going to kill you, why would you take a sleeping tablet? Now, my thought is that you can't sleep. But apparently that's naive, because it's like you'd be too afraid to sleep around them. So I don't know. So yeah. So sorry, I'm just catching up on chat here. Yeah, that's another question, is why would you give him a knife? Like, if you're really afraid of him, why would you give him a knife? And like they definitely had that weird Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly bullshit going on, where it was really super toxic love. Like, they kept being like, till death do us part, but they kept, you know what I mean, and she gave him a knife that said till death on it. Like, you're taking that part of the wedding vows way too seriously. You know, like the Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox thing where they drink each other's blood and stuff. It's just like, okay, you're weird. Definitely, I think we can all agree on that. And so, thank you, who someone gifted a sub to ASAP Kirby. I think, was it Mark? Thank you so much. Oh God, there's so much to talk about. I'm losing track of myself constantly. Oh yeah, so she had said that he was like going for her sister, and he went to push her sister down the stairs, or she thought he might have. So she went up and slapped him. First of all, she said that was the first time she ever landed a blow in their relationship. But there's a previous testimony where she said she hit him before that. She's like, I slapped him across the face. So like, which is it? Again, give her the benefit of the doubt, because, you know, I wouldn't be able to remember the sequence of order of things that happened in 2016 either. So I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt there, but it is a question. You said you didn't hit him before this, but you said you did hit him before this. So which is it? And then the lawyer was asking the bodyguard who was there breaking it up, and he was like, so you don't know how close the sister was standing to Johnny Depp, do you? And he was like, no, I don't, because how I suppose, how would you? And he was like, so she could have been standing anywhere in the room. And he goes, yeah, she could. And then he goes, so she could have been standing between Johnny Depp and Amber. And the bodyguard was like, no, she couldn't have been. And he was like, I thought you said you didn't know where she was standing. And the bodyguard was like, yeah, but I was standing between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. And he was testifying that Amber was swinging at Johnny, and he was trying to get Johnny out of the situation, like that he was actually trying to protect Johnny. He was going, okay, it's time for me to remove you from the situation. And that she was like swinging and scratching and stuff like that. So his testimony doesn't line up with her testimony at all. And so that then is a big question mark in my head, because it's like, I genuinely, and this might be naivete, I genuinely don't believe that people would lie just because they work for someone, or just for whatever reason. I don't believe that people would lie on the stand to protect people that, like, I don't believe anybody's lying on the stand to protect Johnny. I don't see it. And I don't see that this many people would lie on a stand to protect Johnny. It doesn't make sense to me. And so we also have to presume that everybody is telling the truth, or everybody is at least telling their version of the truth. And this is what I kind of was saying earlier. I believe that she believes everything she's saying. I don't believe she's made it up from scratch. Like, I don't feel like she is vindictive enough to have made this up from scratch. But I do believe that she has some kind of disorder or issue that causes her to interpret things differently to the way that other people interpret them. Like, for example, the huge blow up on Frenemies, the podcast with Trisha Paytas and H3, where, you know, she's talked about having bipolar disorder, and she's talked about how all her relationships sort of end explosively, and then the two of them have a very different understanding of the end of that relationship, and in retrospect, she also had a very different understanding of their working relationship, because she tried, after the fact, she was like, well, actually, he's sexually harassed me the whole time. And people watching that were like, no, that didn't happen. Because what she was saying was he sexually harassed her on the podcast, like the bit that went up on the internet. And everybody watching was like, watching it back going, no, that didn't happen. So I do think that she might have some kind of disorder, and I'm going to talk about that as well, because the psychologist did actually say that that makes her believe what she's saying. Like, so she believes that she's the victim all the time, and that that she doesn't start anything, that she's justified in all the things that she does, etc., etc. But the fact that no other witnesses are backing her up is such a massive red flag to me. To go back to the makeup thing, this is another thing I read recently. So she claims that Johnny broke her nose and gave her 2 black eyes the day before she went on Corden. And so people are sharing the clip of her on, what's his name? John Corden? No, what's his name? Corden? Jimmy Corden? What? Why can't I remember his name? James Corden. James Corden. I can't say his name, can I not? So like if I say it 3 times in the mirror, he'll come. So she was on him, and then they were sharing the clip, and she clearly doesn't have a broken nose and black eyes. And like, listen, as someone who plays sport, I know what a fucking broken nose looks like. It's not, that ain't it. Like, and people have said that they've, dealt with cases of headbutting where it's like, you can't cover it up. It's like real bad. But even just going from me playing sport, from my husband having broke his nose a couple of times, from all my friends that play rugby having broken their nose, you don't hide that shit. Like, it's 2 black eyes. It's like, you have to in some cases you don't have to, but in a lot of cases you have to get like a thing on your face like to hold it back in. Even if you don't, you've got 2 full black eyes. And I got a black eye before playing tag because somebody accidentally elbowed me in the eye, and luckily my nose didn't break, but I got a full black eye. And the black eye moves, right? So the black eye, the swelling, it swells up and then it moves around, and the colour as well changes. It goes from like purple to yellow, and it starts to drop as well. So it's like, it's not something that you can hide easily. I got a black eye 2 weeks before my wedding. I was so panicked. That was when it happened. And I like just literally got rid of the last of it the day before. And like that 2 weeks, like there was still a dot on my face that they managed to cover, but because it was yellow. But like 2 weeks that took to go down in swelling and to go away to a point where it could be covered by makeup. So like, I just don't believe, like, there's a video of me, God, I don't know what video it is. It's on Try Channel. Oh God, will I ever be able to find it? Clisare Try Channel. There's a video of me with a black eye on Try Channel, and I had to try and cover it. It was a few days old, like it wasn't even the day after. And I was scheduled to go in to try, and I wanted to go in anyway. And I rang Kelly and I was like, do you want me to just cancel? And she was like, no, come in. And I tried to cover it with makeup, and it's super obvious what it is as well. It just didn't work. And so that's like in a studio with like regular lights. Wonder, is it this one? I'm with John Sharpson in it, so I'm trying to find one where I'm with John Sharpson. And I've got purple eyeshadow. No, I'm with Dermot in that one. Yeah, I don't know. I also don't know how long ago it was. Was it in this studio or a different studio? I don't know what how I did. I have short hair, did I have long hair? I may not be able to find this. What were we doing? Oh my God, I found it! How did I do that? It's because I'm a fucking legend. That's why. Okay. Can I do react cam? Okay, so look, this is a video of me with a black eye. And like, this is, look how far away I am. So like, look, you can actually see, I can't make this any bigger, can I? No. How do you zoom in? Clisare's right on age. So if you look, right, I covered it up with purple eyeshadow because that just made the most sense to me because it was bright purple, right? So first of all, she has no eyeshadow on in the cordon thing, but like if you actually look, my left eye is much darker than my right eye. Alt F4, does it? So what's that on a Mac? Be Option F4? No. I don't want to accidentally end my stream here. Shut up, Millie. Zoom with my display camera. Oh yeah, sorry. Of course, I'm an idiot. Okay. Oh, it won't. Alt F4 is such an old joke. Okay, like I don't have a Windows. God damn it. So this is me with a black eye. And I'm trying to cover it up. But like, look, like my left eye is clearly darker. It also goes right into the corner, which this doesn't, because you don't do that with makeup. Like I just couldn't. That corner there of my eye actually has like a pile of concealer on it to try and cover it. I think this was the one. What date was this? I think this was the one where I got elbowed in the eye, just before the wedding. And so, it's clearly swollen as well. That's the thing. It's like, it's not flat. Like, if you look, it's so obvious when you're looking up this close, like. So when I kind of, you'll see now in a second, when I turn to the camera, it's clearly, the whole face looks really messed up. Fuck you. It's clearly like swollen, kind of shut in comparison to the other one. So I got away with it. But there were a few comments, like a few people were like, what's going on with Claire's eye makeup? Like, I think nobody wanted to say it outright. But, I think especially up close, it's super obvious what's going on. And that's in a studio, like in a YouTube studio with a couple of YouTube lights. You know what I mean? So whereas she was on a TV studio, like in high def TV. Like you can look how clear it is that I have a black eye there. Like, look, oh my God, look at the size difference in my eyes. Like, look at that. It's clearly swollen to the point where I have no eyelid. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Submit that as evidence. Even zoomed out, like you can tell. Geez, that's a great photo of me. I should make that one my profile picture. Welcome, Scout. Thank you for subscribing. So yeah, look, and that's like, so that's when she's like, I went on James Corden, less than 24 hours later with no eyeshadow and, fairly minimal makeup. And I just covered up my bloody lip with a red lip. It's like, that's not possible. And then also, apparently the makeup artist who worked on her that day has said I didn't cover any black eyes. And she said to a friend who like came to pick her up after the show, can you believe I did that show with 2 black eyes? Now, that's mad to me as well, because if you're an abuse victim, it's my understanding that you don't go around telling people, like, do you know what I mean? That sounds almost like a proud thing. Like because why wouldn't somebody then go, how did you get 2 black eyes? Oh, look at me wearing my clickbait jumper. Get it off the screen. He's been cancelled. Oh God. It is. I had donated that a long time ago, in fairness. So yeah, God, that's a really funny. That's a really funny picture of me. I'm gonna take a picture of it. I'm gonna tweet it out after this and just be like, I'm gonna tweet it now and just be like, if you know, you know. Yeah. So and then so that cast doubt then on the story that she he broke her nose and gave her 2 black eyes, because there's no hospital records for her going in with a broken nose. Her nose is perfect, and look at my fucking nose. Like, I've had my nose broken, and I've had it broken like in an attempt to fix the crookedness, and it's still crooked as fuck. Like, hers isn't. So, like, and she didn't get it fixed. That doesn't make sense. Kirks, I don't know, I'm sure I could hear from someone that making jokes about abuse is a method of coping. Fair, that's fair. You could be, I didn't think of that. You could be right. And again, giving her the benefit of the doubt on that one, but like, I can't give her the benefit of the doubt on the fact that she didn't have 2 black eyes. And she couldn't have had a broken nose if she didn't go get it seen to, and it still looks straight and perfect. And like, if she's lying about getting a broken nose and 2 black eyes, then what else could she lie about? This is where it kind of goes for me from she believes what she says, they're just as bad as each other. Maybe she instigated it all, maybe she was abusing him and maybe he hit her back. It goes from there to maybe all of it. Maybe she's making it all up, or maybe she is misrepresenting all of it. Because if you can lie about something as big as getting headbutted in the face and getting a broken nose and 2 black eyes, what can't you lie about? That's my question. And so when I was watching her testimony about the broken bottles, she alleged that he did a cavity search for drugs at one point, and she also alleged that he inserted a glass bottle inside of her without her consent, which is forcible penetrations, rape with an inanimate object, which is a incredibly, incredibly serious accusation. Like, when I heard that, I was like, fuck, there is no way somebody would make that up. Then absolute fuck, they both, like, crucify him. But then you're looking at this and going, but she lied completely about him breaking her nose and giving her 2 black eyes. That's a huge lie. So, or it's a huge, again, I don't want to use the word lie, but it is a lie. Like, some of the stuff I think she misinterpreted or interpreted it differently, or she believes it's true. But that isn't, it's demonstrably not what happened. You know what I mean? Like, you can show the picture of her the day after and be like, that didn't happen. At least not the way you're saying it did, because you didn't have a broken nose and 2 black eyes. And so then that cast doubt on the bigger stories. Because, like, yeah, exactly, Mac Attack. That's the real problem. If you lie about little things, then you might lie about the big things. But also, like, if you lie about the big things, like the broken nose and 2 black eyes is a big thing. But also, I thought so Kirks says, I can't imagine how a woman listening to that would react. I think it'd be physically ill. It was horrible to listen to, but I will say that it sort of felt like it went from 0 to 100, and it was very confusing as to why and what happened. And her description of it is very odd. Obviously, never happened to me. I hope it never happens to me. So I don't know how I would recall it or talk about it. And so that has to be taken into account and been like, well, maybe that's the way she needs to cope with it. But I thought the recounting of the story was odd. The details that she focused on, again, I'm like, maybe it's because she needs to focus on the minor stupid details in order to get through this story. I actually don't know if this story has always been a part of her accusations, or not. I do know that some of the stories that she's told, they've compared how she tells them in court to how she told them in the deposition for the divorce in 2016. And they're being told very differently. Like, now she's crying, now she's sad. Originally she was angry, and she was righteous in the when she was telling stories in the deposition. Now, I don't know if this story is a new story or, okay, so Pagan Plays, you think it's never been brought up before. So, I mean, that's also, it's also odd that it's never been brought up before, because then because the defendant goes second, if the defendant is going to make new allegations, does the plaintiff even get a chance to rebut those? Like, I don't know. Kirks, if you didn't need to bring it up, maybe you wouldn't. Well, I mean, the abuse allegations were first made in the divorce to get money. Not to get money, to figure out who was in the wrong, or like what needed to be allocated where. Okay, so he'll get cross. I thought he's already been cross-examined. No. I thought each witness was examined by one and then the other. No? Or will Johnny be back on the stand? I know that Heard's cross-examination is coming up, so she was being examined by her own lawyer, and then she's going to testify again, being examined by his, I think. He will testify again. Okay, great, because I really want fucking answers to these accusations. Like, I do think you need answers. Pagan Plays. So you mentioned that she was on MDMA at the time, and see, that's another thing. It's like, a lot of these, from both sides, a lot of these stories are coming up, and they're taking so many drugs that it's like almost impossible to know what actually happened. Like, they couldn't possibly know what actually happened either. Do you know what I mean? And again, like, let's leave the allegation of rape out of it, but in terms of the other stuff, the like lesser fights, this, that, and the other, they're both on so many drugs that how can we trust either of their versions of events? Like, I think that one of the fights, and I think it was the one where his finger got sliced off, but I don't know. One of the fights, they were mentioning that they were like on MDMA, Quaaludes, Adderall, and ecstasy, and then they also do cocaine as well. And it's like, exactly, like, sure, Pagan Plays, surely they were both off their face so badly they wouldn't have been walking or coherent. Yeah. Or maybe they were off their face so badly that they both like were blacked out and violent with each other. But how would they even remember that? Like, how would you know what happened? Bye, Alan. But that's the thing. I think you really need to rely on the outside witnesses then in that case, because I really feel like neither of them can give a credible idea of what happened, because they were both off their nut, but out of their bin, and then the witnesses aren't backing up her version of events. Now, they're not necessarily like fully backing up Johnny's version of events either, but they're giving a version of events that paints her in a more instigative light than she is portraying herself, we'll put it that way, you know. And the glass thing as well. So the glass incident, I believe, is the same night that his finger gets cut off. And so her thing is like, I can't remember anything that happened, but he raped me with a bottle, and I don't know whether it was broken or not. If it was, you'd know if it was broken. Like, if, oh my God, surely you'd be in hospital. But anyway, I don't know if it was broken or not. And then I passed out, don't remember anything else, and when I woke up, his finger was cut off, so I presume he cut his finger off himself. Now, I don't think she's actually outright said, I presume he did it himself, but like the implication was there. She was like, I went to bed, I went to sleep, and I woke up and his finger was gone. And that is a clear lie to me, because there's an audio recording online of her like screaming, being like, I didn't mean to do it, is his finger gone, is he okay, is his finger gone? And she's in hospital, and one of the bodyguards or staff members or whatever is saying like, she can stay here for another 24 hours if we want. If she needs sedation, fine. The important thing is getting Johnny out of this. And first, I read that piece of audio evidence is not allowed to be admitted in court because the guy in it, the staff member, has passed away. So they can't, it's inadmissible, which is kind of frustrating. The reason that I read that the reason that Johnny wanted to take this defamation lawsuit in the US is because he lost his libel case against the Sun in the UK, but none of these recordings were admissible. They couldn't use any of them. So yeah, You know what I mean? But then again, right? This isn't actually a trial on who's the abuser. It's a trial on whether or not she defamed him. So thank you for gifting subs, Matthew. So in order to prove defense in America, right, you have to prove, first of all, that it was published, that they published it. You have to prove that they had, if you're a famous person, you have to prove that the person published something that they knew to be false with intent and malice. That is so fucking hard to prove. It's so hard to prove somebody did something on purpose with malice. Like, it's much easier to prove somebody was negligent, and that's what the law is here. You can prove, and I think it's what the law is in America if you're a regular person. But here, I'm pretty sure that if you can prove that somebody didn't do enough research and they printed something false about you, then that it's defamation. But when you're a public figure in America, you have to prove that they had actual malice. And that's actual malice as, determined by the everyman or whatever, by a reasonable person. That's the court term. Mark, thank you for gifting subs. So, sorry, Kirks, I'm going to come back to your message now. And so, he basically has to prove, so this is why they're both trading abuse allegations, is because he has to prove that she said something false. So he has to like at least argue that he's not an abuser, and her response to that is obviously, well, you are. And then so now they're trading abuse allegations, and so it's up to the jury to decide whether or not they feel like what was said about Johnny in that op-ed was false or not. And so they've already proved that she wrote it. Her team tried to argue that she didn't write it, that the ACLU or someone, or the Washington Post or something wrote it, and she just like signed off on it. But she admitted in the stand, she said an op-ed that I wrote. And so that, like, and obviously she wrote it, like, it had her name on it. And then, they were trying to say it wasn't about Johnny Depp because it didn't name him, but like it named her ex-husband, I'm pretty sure. So like, as one of the defendants said, like, did she have another husband who was abusing her in 2016 or so those two defenses were pretty shit. But yeah, they basically now are hinging on, they're trying to say, well, it's not fake and it's not malicious. He's an abuser or whatever. So the jury needs to figure this out. But the jury's not getting access to a lot of the stuff we're getting access to. They're not getting access to the statement from the makeup company. They're not getting access to that recording that I mentioned. There's certain things that they're not getting access to because they're not allowed to look at the internet. And there's certain things that are inadmissible in this case and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know which way it's going to go. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Hang on, I just need to tweet this photo. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Can't believe I found that. Nuts. Yeah, so I don't know which way it's going to go. What else? Where are my notes? That's what I was looking for. Where are my notes? What else did I want to say? So I just want to go back to the Kate Moss thing, right? It's also set to a higher standard for being famous, so they can't sue a reviewer. She didn't mention him by name. She didn't mention him by name, but she talked about an ex-husband who abused her. And how she was like the face of domestic abuse now after being abused. Like, it was very obviously about him, and everybody understood it to be about him. Even me over here in Ireland, I was like, I'm not watching his films anymore. If she technically didn't write it, that shouldn't matter. It absolutely shouldn't matter. Like, that's insane, being like, oh, well, actually, the Washington Post wrote it of their own accord, but I signed off on it before it was published, and then I allowed them to put my name to it. So I shouldn't be held accountable. What? Yes, Pagan plays. I also think that Johnny Depp has is going to have a real hard time winning this because of the fact that it's a defamation case, like not a civil case, not anything else. And they kind of have to prove, and I'm presuming it's without reasonable doubt that what she said was false. And if there's any reasonable doubt, then he won't win it. Like if the jury say, well, he was probably as bad as she was, he probably hit her back, he won't win it. Now, I do think he will win. Bye, Matthew. Thanks for joining. I do think he will win in the court of public opinion, as you said, because I do think it's not a controversial opinion anymore to think that he is a victim of abuse. JS Peanut, the way that it's going is that both are nutty. You see, again, I hate that look at it, because that's such a sure, they're both as bad as each other. And I really feel like we would never take that approach if the roles were reversed. If it was a man who was abusing a woman and the woman then hit him back or hit him in self-defense or engaged in reactive violence that psychologist spoke about, we would never say, sure, they're as bad as each other. You'd never say that. If a woman killed a man in self-defense because he was beating her, you'd never say, they're both as bad as each other. So I think there's an element of sexism coming into that argument of being sure, they're both as bad as each other. There's no smoke without fire. If he probably hit her back, and that makes him just as bad. And again, the thing of that he has no priors, and all his previous exes have said that is absolutely not the man that they know. His kids have said it. The one actually thing that I don't understand is why his kids and exes aren't testifying. Now, his exes probably haven't been testifying because of the whole thing. The exes were off the table until she mentioned them, so maybe they will testify now. But I'm kind of surprised that Lily Rose hasn't testified, because she was mentioned so many times by Amber. So she is relevant to the story and to some of the stories of abuse and stuff. So, yeah, I wonder why she isn't testifying. Now, she has publicly spoke out in favour of her father before, and I think she's only 20, or is that might be his son. So maybe he doesn't want her getting involved in this. But you would think that the daughter would testify if she didn't go to the wedding because she hated Amber so much, and she's involved in this big argument where they're on the island and Amber is annoyed that there's a young man staying the night, and she thinks that, bye Mac Attack, she thinks that she questions Johnny's parenting, and it sends him into a blind rage, and he beats her or whatever. You would think that Lily Rose would testify and say whether that happened or not. I would imagine that Lily Rose and family are not testifying, as it's not a civil case, it's defamation, but who knows, if it was my dad, I would. Yeah. I agree, but considering the fact she's been called out by name in an incident, you would think that they would call her in to be well, is this how you recall it happening? Then again, maybe they think there's no point. Maybe they think that because she's his daughter, nobody would believe her if she was saying that, if she was exonerating him. So maybe they're just there's no fun point. So Mark, yeah, so you're saying, I think a lot of Amber's issues are related to BPD. So this is another thing in my notes, was that the one of the psychologists that was hired by Depp's side, I believe. So there was two psychologists, one hired by Amber's side and one hired by Depp's side. And the one hired by Depp's side diagnosed Amber after a 2-day evaluation, diagnosed her with borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder. And she talked about how Dr. Curry, thank you very much. And she said that the histrionic personality disorder manifests itself in the way that Amber tells stories, and they're very exaggerated. And she even talked about Amber's body language when she is talking and how she uses her hands and stuff like that. And she predicted the way that Amber spoke on the stand, which throws up a red flag for me as well, because it's like maybe that psychologist knows what she's talking about, and maybe she does have histrionic personality disorder, which makes her exaggerate and, you know, understand things to be much bigger than they are. So that's one side of it. And then the other side of it is that even the psychologist hired by Amber Heard's side, who was like, they'd never met Johnny. She was like, oh yeah, she basically came across as, I don't believe that men can be victims of assault or abuse. And then she admitted to never having met Johnny and never having spoken to Johnny and never got his side of the story, which is kind of crazy. And then at the end, the lawyer was asking her questions, and I think that they thought that they were building their own case, but they were actually, I feel, in most other people's eyes, talking about Johnny. So he was like, would you agree that if somebody had been subject to this abuse that they would be afraid? She's like, yes. That they would, you know, do this, yes. That she would do that, that they would do this. And then she was agreeing, and like, I know that I watched that being like, this describes Johnny, not Amber. That was Dr. Hughes, yeah. So that line of questioning actually benefited Johnny and not Amber, even though she's Amber's psychologist and her hired side. And she was testifying like to say that men can't be subject to abuse. Did you see the clips where Heard's lawyers kept calling Dr. Hughes Dr. Curry? No, I didn't. I did see the clip where Amber Heard's lawyer objected to his own question. He asked the question and the guy starts answering. He goes, objection, hearsay. And then the judge goes, you asked the question, which is very funny. I joined in that day when Amber's team was basically saying Dr. Curry had dodgy qualifications, wasn't registered. We said that was a total misrepresentation. Like, they were going, you're only in 8 years practicing. She's like, no, 15. Like, it was a very clear to me just attempt to undermine her credibility. And they're like, you're not board certified, correct? Like, that means nothing to anybody who doesn't work in that field. And she was going, yeah, I'm not board certified, but I'm a licensed psychologist. And like, again, that distinction means nothing to people who works outside the field. It's just a way to make her sound, to sort of undermine her, to be like, oh, well, you're not board certified. You know what I mean? You could say to me like I could be like, I could say I'm a Twitch streamer, and someone could be like, oh, well, you're not a partner though, are you? And then I'd be like, no, but I'm an affiliate. And you're like, you're still a Twitch streamer. You're just not the highest level of Twitch. Does that make sense? Not a good comparison. But what I'm saying is, I didn't assume that not being board certified invalidates your expertise or your thing. But I think that that's what they were trying to get across. And I just don't believe that that's the case. But yeah, they definitely undermined her successfully in my head at first. And yeah, and I think that's what they were aiming to do. I was maidenless there for a while. That really undermined me. Nice. Elden Ring reference. So yeah, they definitely undermined her successfully in people's heads. Well, that was what they were trying to do. But I felt like the way that she talked and the way that she expressed herself and how knowledgeable she was about the studies and stuff that she had done, totally like overmined her. In my mind, I was like, this fucking woman knows exactly what she's talking about. Whereas I felt like her psychologist was just like, no, men can't be victims of abuse, basically. So it was objection, hearsay. And she goes, you asked the question. And I saw another one the other day where the judge was going, are you going to get that to me redacted? And they were like, yeah, we're going to have to get a hard copy. And then there's a back and forth about who's going to get what. And then eventually they go, we'll get to that. Would you get that? We'll get it to you, judge. And the judge goes, oh, joy. It's very funny. And so, I thought Dr. Curry's testimony was very factual. Like, I thought that she kept personal opinion out of it. I really thought that the way they went after her, trying to insinuate that she went on a date with Johnny Depp, essentially, was really scummy, to be honest. Because, like, she was going, they were like, you went for dinner and drinks at Johnny Depp's house, correct? And she's like, well, I was interviewed by his legal team for a period of 3 hours, over which dinner was served and drinks were served. Like, that's a totally different scenario to, you went to his house and had drinks with him, yeah? You know what I mean? So, and exactly, Pagan Place, like, I felt like she relied on the science more so, which is like, she kept saying, like, I'm going to present the science no matter what it says. And that's, I'd believe somebody that takes that stance. You know what I mean? But again, obviously, it would be smart to say that, wouldn't it? But I'm just saying. Yeah, it was a business dinner with the legal team. She said it was an interview to be interviewed. And it was at his house. And then it was like, he was serving dinner and drinks. I love how she went, no, he wasn't serving dinner and drinks. Because obviously Johnny fucking Depp was serving dinner and drinks himself. And then it was like, but it was at his behest. And she's like, I mean, it was at his house, so probably, yeah. So that was just such a stupid argument. So, like, unnecessary. But, yeah, so then, the fact that she, like, totally predicted how she would talk on the stand and stuff, and then said, like, that this disorder makes her exaggerate and makes her, you know, constantly think she's a victim and blah, blah, blah. That has also sort of undermined the whole thing. And then when you put it together with the fact that the witnesses are not backing up her version of events, you're like, ooh, what's the story here? Yeah, she was smart. She didn't let them trick her into agreeing with something. Absolutely. Oh yeah, and also the muffins. The muffins was also so fucking stupid. They were like, they were trying to insinuate that she told her husband that Amber Heard was coming in. I presume that's a breach of confidentiality is what they were trying to get at. Because she said she brought muffins in for them to eat. And then she said that the husband bought the muffins. And she was like, okay, I'm just going to clear this up so we can stop talking about the muffins, which I thought was great. And she's like, her story made total sense. Like, her husband, I was also like, why doesn't my husband go buy me muffins in the morning? Excuse me, while I'm running late. Sorry. What's the story there? So her husband runs out and get her muffins when she's running late, and that's what she meant by he bought the muffins. Okay, so hello, Tawanka. You have a more understanding of board certifications generally apply to a specific specialization, as it applies to professions where such accreditations are deemed a sign of higher achievement in that body of work. Yeah, but to me that doesn't really, like, invalidate her work just because she doesn't have the highest achievement. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's still a licensed psychologist. Kirks, I would consider Johnny having a thing in his house as serving dinner, but then they would have painted the whole thing as Johnny waitering. Yeah, that's the thing. They were basically trying to say he physically. That's how I understood it. He was physically serving the drinks. I think that's how she understood it as well. She was like, he obviously wasn't. Yeah, Tawanka, there you go. No, it does not invalidate one without certifications. Yeah, so it's just like, I just thought that was a bit of a mad route to go down. And what else have I got here on my nose? On my notes, I meant. Oh, the therapist. So one of the most recent things I watched was, I haven't watched the full thing. I only came across a clip of it, a short clip of it. But it was the therapist. Her therapist testified, and maybe it wasn't this court case, because is there any? I think it was this court case though. It just came up on my YouTube recommended. But her therapist testified that Amber asked her, if I leave him but file an abuse thing first, will that help me? Which is like, I suppose if you're innocent, you could understand why you would ask that. But also if you weren't, you could understand why you could ask that. You know what I mean? So that kind of also casts a little bit of doubt. Why would I ever go to a therapist if my stuff could end up going on a court case? Yeah, well, you wouldn't want to ever use any messaging apps ever if that's your thing, because WhatsApp and all will end up in court if you ever end up in court. So group chats are so dangerous. But yeah, so Tawanka in real life, what it means is the ones that charge more. Yeah, so that actually has reminded me about something else. There was another witness for Johnny, and he was talking about Q scores, and he was talking about the perception of Johnny in the media and how Johnny was portrayed before and after the original allegations and before and after the op-ed. And what happened there? Thank you for subscribing. Oh, that's on YouTube, so you're not going to be able to hear me. And so Rebecca Vardy finding that out now. Will you be reacting to that news after this? Rebecca Vardy, she's the one that got blamed for leaking stories from the footballer's wife, Colleen Rooney, wasn't she? Is she back in the news? So yeah, anyway, they had this witness and he was testifying to Q scores and things like that. And they said, oh, but you are getting paid €700 an hour, aren't you? As if to discredit him. Like, so what? That's what he charges. Like, and then they said something as well, like, and that's not how much you normally charge. It's slightly higher, isn't it? And it's like, yeah, probably. Like, with all the stuff he had to go through, the high profileness of the case, how fucking rich the client is, jack the price up. That doesn't really sound unusual to me, to be honest. Welcome Meadow, first time chat. Love the turtle emoji. I don't know if that is, I don't know if that means anything, or if it's just a turtle emoji. With all this, keep in mind the two involved in a profession were generally free publicity of any kind, good or bad. Keeping them in the public eye and relevant is a good thing. So I would disagree with that. So I think that your man said at one point, which I thought was very apt and very true. It was like, a different witness said, there was a witness where her lawyers were just reading out headlines to him, which is funny because I was like, how is that not fucking hearsay? But anyway, he's just reading out headlines to him, and then the guy was like, well, basically you can be a drink and a drug addict in Hollywood, but we've drawn the line at domestic abuse. And so I think that while I don't think publicity of any kind is good, I do get what you're saying in terms of things other than domestic abuse and rape and assault and stuff. I think that's never good. And so that's his issue, is like, he's like, she've accused me of something that doesn't, that has actively harmed my career. And then another argument, so they have to prove as well that he lost work because of these fake statements. And so they were saying that he, had an agreement in principle or a verbal agreement to be on Pirates Caribbean 6. And her lawyers were saying, well, yeah, but there's no contract. Sorry, but a verbal contract is just as valid. And that's how it goes. It goes verbal and then written. And also, I would argue you didn't even need the verbal contract. Pirates of the Caribbean is about Johnny Depp. He's the main fucking character. So, like, I think you can go without, it goes without saying. Like, you can assume he was going to be in the sixth one. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that argument was a bit stupid. But anyway, so sorry, to go back to the guy who was doing the Q scores. He now obviously don't understand the ins and outs of the Q scores because I don't measure Q scores or work in that field, but I did understand the concept of the Q score being a way in which to measure how an audience feels about a certain individual, a certain celebrity, and measuring how positively they feel and how negatively they feel, figuring out, their likability scores and their kind of dislikability scores. And I also understood that a swing of like 5, 6, 7, 8 points in those Q scores is a big deal. And so even without the other thing he said, which was that he determined that Johnny Depp was actually not covered negatively before the first range of accusations, before the divorce and those accusations came out, that Johnny Depp was before 2016, that Johnny Depp was actually not portrayed negatively in the press, and that he was then afterwards it became like drug addict, drink, late to set, blah blah blah, that all that came out after that. Aside from that comment, which is very powerful if true, right? He's the swing in the Q score is huge. And there was a big swing on it. And I mean, I feel like that definitely shows that her accusations changed how he was perceived publicly, damaged his reputation, and he lost work. The issue is, I think the malice thing is so hard to prove. It used to be most crimes to the Hollywood breed would be swept under the rug. And Roman Polanski is a good example. I know that name, but I don't know what he did. But yeah, no, a lot of people are still probably in Hollywood that get away with crimes. But the thing is, they don't get away with them if they're published. That's the difference. Like, they only get away with them as long as people are not publishing stories about them. And that's kind of what this whole thing hinges on, is the article she published that said he was an abuser. But he does have to basically prove that she said that with malice. For sure, he got kicked out of those new Harry Potter films. Yeah, so now I don't support the Harry Potter films anyway. And I don't support the Harry Potter franchise, and I don't buy any of the shit. And I don't engage with it anymore because fuck J.K. Rowling. But yeah, he lost that role in Fantastic Beasts. Also, Fantastic Beasts was a shite film. Fucking eat me if, like, change my mind. It was shit. So I don't even care, like, that I'm missing out on them out of a sense of moral obligation to not put any more money into somebody who's using their massive platform to spread transphobia's pocket. The film was fucking shit anyway. So yeah, where I'm at now is that I don't believe that he was an abuser. I think he was the victim of abuse. I think there's every chance that he engaged in reactive violence. But I don't think that reactive violence makes you an abuser. I don't think fighting back makes you an abuser. I do think that the two of them were doing way too many drugs, and that everything that happened is kind of in question because of that. Because neither of their recollections can really be trusted, I guess. But I do think that Johnny has been a victim of abuse, and I actually think that Amber writing the op-ed is part of that abuse. Like, she utilized that as a weapon of abuse. That's what I think. So she accused him of abuse as part of the abuse that she was extorting on him. But I really need... That's where I'm at the minute. But that version of where I'm at is kind of ignoring the bottle story. Like, I fucking need an answer as to his version of events in terms of the bottle story or the cavity search story. Like, I need to know that he at least can explain those two things, and explain that they either didn't happen or that she's misrepresenting it or something, because those two things are so fucking serious that I hate to think somebody would lie about that. Like, I would hate... What if he says didn't happen? Yeah, but that's what she's saying about the finger, though. She's saying, I went to bed. I went to sleep. And when I woke up, his finger was gone. So I don't know. What if it didn't happen? When he testified, he told the bottle story. I thought he told that she threw a bottle at him and it cut his finger. See, that's the thing. I thought, like, I didn't think there was as many bottles involved as she's making out. She's like, there's broken glass everywhere. That's another thing. There was no cuts on her feet. No documented cuts on her feet. And other people are pointing out, like, she can take photos of, of drugs on a table or Johnny asleep on a couch, but, like, there's no photos of her alleged injuries. There's apparently 1 or 2 photos, and those are the ones that they haven't given up for forensic testing. And also, someone else was pointing out the fact that when she did have visible injuries, they were all on the right side of her face, wasn't it? So it's like, and she's right-handed. Whereas Johnny, I think, is right-handed as well. So if he was to slap her, wouldn't it make more sense that her left-hand side would be hit? So people were pointing that out. Tawanka, as a genuine outsider, I think she initiated this jump on the Me Too bandwagon for personal publicity and empathy, seeking to keep herself alive. I think she jumped on the Me Too bandwagon as an instrument of abuse. That's what I think. I think she was like, I'm gonna ruin this fucker, because he left me. As well, yeah, but Mark, if it was a backhand, right, all his rings would have made a mark on her face. Because he never doesn't wear a handful of fucking massive rings. So if he backhanded her, they would have left a mark. And again, she didn't seem to have any of those. But yeah, he proved something happened with his finger, even without that recording that fucking has her admitting to doing it. And she's like, she's nuts in that recording. She's like going nuts. She's obviously out of her mind. And Johnny was obviously out of his mind as well. And he's like, right, if she needs to be sedated or need whatever else, like, she's obviously, they did so many fucking drugs. And again, so Tawanki, yeah, as for the mutual abuse, everything seems to show putting the two of them in the same room is like tossing a can of petrol in a burning room. Yeah, they definitely shouldn't ever be together again. They definitely should never have been together. But again, I just don't know if it's mutual abuse. I just don't know. I don't think I'm there yet with mutual abuse. Like, I'm holding my water on the 2 most serious things she's leveled at him, but all of the less serious ones, I don't believe any of them. I don't believe he broke her nose and gave her 2 black eyes. I don't believe he was going to push her sister down the stairs. I've also read things about how her parents, I think one of her parents has died now, but one of her parents were initially in 2016, they were like on Johnny's side, rather than hers. I don't understand, by the way, from either of them, right, why either of them got married. I don't understand it. Like, because they're saying that this abuse started happening before they even got engaged, and then they got married. I'm like, both of you, I can't understand why you did that. Now, obviously, never been in a sort of super toxic, abusive relationship, so I don't know. But I just, like, why would you sign up for a life of that? It just makes no sense. And a big thing for me, actually, as well, that I just remembered was that there's a couple of audio recordings where she's clearly, like, antagonizing him. And she's like, she calls him a baby. She says, grow up, Johnny. You always want to run away from arguments. Like, she's antagonizing. And I just don't feel like the abusee does that. Like, if you were being abused, you wouldn't be, like, antagonizing your abuser, would you? And then she admits to hitting him, and she's like, but I wasn't punching you. You're such a baby. And that sounds like abuser talk to me. Like, you can't even take a hit. Like, I was only hitting you. Like, stop being such a baby. Like, I think that sounds like abuser talk. And then also there's another voice clip where he's like, I want to walk away now. I think we need to take a couple of hours. I'll talk to you in a couple of hours. We just need to calm down. I don't want to continue this fight. We're going to come back and we're going to talk later. And she's like, no, you like, she flips out and she's like, you cause me so much pain when you leave. And apparently that's some people have theorized that that's a a symptom of borderline personality disorder where they can't stand for you to leave them. And again, the psychologist said that that's what she diagnosed. One of the two things she diagnosed Amber Heard was borderline personality disorder. So they can't stand you to leave them, so they freak out. And so Johnny was going, I need to step away from this argument, and we'll talk in a few hours. And like, he was reassuring her that they're still together and they're going to talk in a few hours, but they just need some time to cool off. That's a normal way to fight. To be like, let's just take a breath, and go calm down and come back later. It's really weird to me to be like, I just don't think an abuser would be like, look, we just need to take a break and step off and back off. And like, she's kind of using these text messages. First of all, they're using text messages where they're like joking around, and they're like, he's saying things like, he said at one point, he was like, I love you, and she said, I love you too, or you'd be the death of me. And then he goes, that's why we go for the throat, is love. And he obviously didn't mean, I understood that not to mean physically for the fucking throat, like not literally, but like, that's why we fight so much, because we love each other so much. And then she said, my throat is yours, because like, they were obviously doing this super weird, like toxic, madly in love, probably fucking very like Megan Fox and Megan Machine Gun kind of drinking on blood bullshit. And then he said something like, I have other uses for your throat which do not include injury. And that was read out like 3 times in court, as if to make him sound bad. People who are in a relationship have sex, like, and sometimes they talk dirty to each other. Like, that means nothing. You know what I mean? And he read it out 3 times to try and make him sound bad. Also, they've come out and said how Johnny left her a couple of times to stay elsewhere, where she never really went to get away from him. Yeah, and like, again, the argument might be, that if she was really abused, then she felt like she couldn't get away from him. But I just don't think it's an abuser thing to leave and go away and stay somewhere else and calm down. I just think that's a normal way to fight. What did you think about the kid thing, like calling her kid all the time? I see it as a pet name, but it kind of felt weird. No, I understand him to call everybody kid. He strikes me as one of those kind of characters, like an old allow lad in the pub, or like an old cowboy western kind of character. Like, I feel like he calls everyone kid, and it really vibes for me with his aesthetic. It makes sense to me, and it doesn't sound weird to me at all, if that makes sense. I've forgotten what else I was saying. What else was I saying? There is a large age gap between them, which is weird, and I don't really like. Yeah, 20 years. Ugh, gross. There's something else I was saying. I've totally forgotten what I was saying. But, I was saying that I don't believe any of the lighter stuff. I don't believe he broke her nose. I don't believe he went to push her sister down the stairs. I think that a lot of the recordings that she has, because it seems like she's taken them all, which to me, yes, you can argue that it's a victim trying to record the abuse so they can prove it, but you could also argue that it's an abuser trying to find incriminating footage and audio to frame somebody for abuse. Does that make sense? And so I don't know where to stand on that one, but I do feel that the audio recordings that she does have don't exonerate her at all. And the fact that she thinks that they do is bananas to me. It's like, how do you not realize this makes you sound fucking terrible? This is not an audio recording that I would have presented in court in my defense. So then that makes me think, well, maybe she does have that histrionic personality disorder where she thinks she's in the right all the time, or she thinks she's being victimized all the time. And and she understands things differently to other people, because I wouldn't play those fucking recordings to prove anything in my defense. And exactly, yeah, she recorded so much, but none of the like worst events. Now, to be fair, again, you have to kind of go, well, if you're being abused, you're not going to like get the camera out. But that goes both ways then, because she did get the camera out and the phone out. Do you know what I mean? I think she married him just to use as a stepping stool for her career. Fake and real marriages have a history in Hollywood of just being for business. I don't think so. I think they were madly in love to a really toxic, awful point. And I personally think that she is an abuser, because she has, or she's at the very least a very toxic partner, because she has priors in her prior relationships. And I think that then they added in a ton of drugs. So you've got an already unhealthy relationship, with a toxic individual, minimum one, if not two. And then you're adding in a cocktail of drugs. And it's just a bad all round. But I do believe that they loved each other. Like, I think that they had that insane love, the kind of love that makes you drink each other's blood, and not be normal. Not a normal love. And that's the problem. It's so explosive and so volatile and so fiery. Except for the one with the mega pint and beating the kitchen cabinets up when he found out his mom passed away. That was awful. Like, see, here's the thing, right? That makes him look bad, hitting things and hitting kitchen cabinets and stuff. But like, I punch stuff sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I suppose I don't do it anymore. But like, it doesn't necessarily mean you're an abuser. Like, he wasn't hitting her. But the implication is that because he hits kitchen cabinets, he could easily hit her. That's the implication. And then, I don't know if that's true or not. But it's really sad that you would record someone. First of all, that you would record someone when they're in a state of grief like that. If he just found out his mother passed away, that's really sad. And then another one was the lawyers were like, what was your reaction when Amber Heard like told you that you vomited in your sleep every night? And he basically said, I think I'd be aware of it. And like, yeah, you would. You'd be dead. If you vomited in your sleep every night, you'd be dead. End of story. But you would definitely be aware of it, because you'd wake up next to vomit. So there's no way you wouldn't be aware of it. So, and then he said something about, I question why you would record someone you love in that scenario rather than support them through it. And I don't know whether he was talking about that, the being passed out, getting sick in a sleep accusation, or whether he was talking about the cabinet smashing thing. But yeah, I've lost my train of thought now. Oh yeah, but yeah, why would you record? Like, the stuff she's recorded is so random. But I felt like that was a fair reaction and emotion to go through in that scenario. Yeah, I don't actually know the detail there. His reaction to the ice cream photograph was very interesting. Yeah, so wasn't there? She had asked him to hold an ice cream or something, and he was like sleeping, was it? And he was like, he was napping or something. And then she took a photo of him. Like, did he spill the ice cream on himself? I didn't actually quite catch that whole bit. It was odd. Yes. Oh, say this in Irish. D Nax has redeemed say this in Irish. Hello is Gigwitch. Hold on a minute. What is it, Kirks? Oh my god, how have we not even talked about this? This is the biggest part of the whole fucking thing. The grumpy. Okay. I need to go to the bathroom. Can we take a 5-minute break? I might get a fresh cup of tea, and we'll come up and we'll fucking get into the the shitting in the bed. Which is fucking wild. Oh, speak of the devil. No, it's the number 1 curse. Okay. Thank you, Jacob London, for subscribing again. To answer the question entitled Johnny or realistically, I want equal consequences if he has been found guilty of it. Not one thing is for she is not innocent and should not be making any new movies. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Mark, we are taking a tea break. I need to go to the bathroom, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the shit in the bed. I can't believe we're an hour and 50 minutes in and we haven't touched on the shit in the bed yet. Shouldn't have used the phrase touched on. Okay, tea break. See you back in 5. Hello, hello, hello. We're back. I'm putting on a jumper, then I'm going to turn on my camera. Ugh. Hello. So I went down. I feel like I need to make these. I definitely need to make these tea breaks 10 minutes because I went downstairs, went to the bathroom, came out, totally spaced out, forgot what I was doing. And then I was just standing there. I actually opened my phone, would you believe? And the first post on Instagram was about Rebecca Vardy. Weird, isn't it? Is Instagram listening? And so it was Peter Andre reacting to apparently Rebecca Vardy 15 years ago said he had a small dick. And it came up again in the court case recently. And he was like, and she admitted it was a made up story. And he was like, yeah, I've put up with this for 15 years. It's not funny. I've been the butt of jokes, blah, blah. It's so funny that she said he had a small dick. Like, so funny. Oh, and then he's like, I've put up with being the butt of jokes for 15 years. Just fucking tweet a dick pic then. Well, no, that's a joke. But I think that's all funny. Right, let me catch up on the chat here. Let's suggest that Clare does a bean boozle like George and Cullen. Oh, did they do a bean boozle? I could do that. It's not funny, lads. Getting the washing hung up on this suspiciously long break. Yeah, I totally blanked. I was standing downstairs, couldn't. You just don't remember. I'm just going to paint my nails here as well. Look at this. Can you see that? Does that refocus? No. I think she said takes 5 minutes for the kettle to heat up. It doesn't take 5 minutes. It definitely takes me 5 minutes to make a cup of tea, just because I don't pay attention to life. Oh, this is like a see-through glittery nail varnish. That doesn't really work. Am I going to put another colour on underneath it? Yeah, maybe. Fuck it. Okay. Sequence of events. Puts kettle on, goes to bathroom. Alex snipes kettle, has to start kettle again. So true. Excuse me. No close-up nail cam. No, unfortunately not. I also, my nails are like, I cut them off, so what's the point of them? You know, I cut them off because they got too long for tag, and I was catching them in things. I'm tired now. It's a heavy old topic, isn't it? But we need to talk about the shit in the bed. And like, that's fucking bananas. Like, if she took a shit in the bed. And the thing is, I've heard stories from people about, and it's always been like a friend of a friend, whatever. But like, I don't know. I kind of believe it. Like, especially because, as the History podcast pointed out, she's trying to claim it was the dogs, but their dogs were two like teacup Yorkies, so they'd have very small shits. I've never actually seen the picture. Should I look the picture up? I probably can't show it on Twitch, but should I look it up for myself? Your stepdaughter's done that? Jesus. Okay. Amber, I'm Googling it. I'm not going to show it though. Amber Heard bed poo. Ugh. Jesus. Right, that's a big poo, and it does look like a human poo. Oh, that's a yikes. It's kind of mad. I mean, I expected it to be smeared all over the bed. Oh, look, that one's a really sharpened version. Great, thanks for that. Really needed that. Amber Heard spotted after reports she defecated in Johnny Depp's bed. Amber Heard said poop in bed with Johnny Depp was a horrible practical joke, guard testifies. Johnny Depp's security guard told the court Thursday that he and Amber Heard had a conversation pertaining to the surprise she left in the boss's bed. A longtime employee of Johnny Depp says Amber Heard once told him that defecating in the former couple's once shared bed was a horrible practical joke gone wrong. Yikes. Which allegedly took place after he and his then wife had an argument during her 30th birthday party before she headed to Coachella. Yeah, there's no way a teacup Yorkie could do that poo. I want to see, has she I presume they have not brought that up in her I haven't seen them bring that up in her testifying, but maybe I missed some of it. Have they brought it up? I mean, I can't imagine that they did, because I feel like there's no way that you could. But surely cross-examining is going to bring that up. I can't believe she had a baby by herself. The funny thing is, right, she could have claimed only psychological abuse here. She could have said, yeah, okay, look, he didn't hit me, but he mentally abused me. And she would have won, like, because you can't really prove somebody didn't do that to you. And especially, or you didn't do that to someone, especially if they have like audio recordings of you guys arguing. You know what I mean? And I just think maybe she just went too far, being like, okay, I'm going to accuse him of sexual and physical violence as well. And those are things that can be disputed. Like, I don't think the psychological abuse, maybe it could be disputed, I suppose, with therapist testimony and stuff. But like, again, it would have enough, I think it would have enough doubt in the jury's mind to keep her on the winning side. Mad. But anyway. Millie, stop it. Millie, that's someone putting out their bin. Can you chill, please? Do you want to come and sit in my lap? Do you want to come and sit in my lap, or do you want to stay in your bed? You can stay in your bed if you want. Okay. Stop barking. Stop barking. Okay, she wants to stay in her bed. But stop barking, okay? Yeah, she gets Millie very vocal today. She gets very vocal when she hears like people moving their bins outside and trucks outside and the postman. Those are like the three big ones. So where am I? Yeah, it's absolutely nuts that she pooped in his bed. Like, I fully believe that she did take a shit in his bed. Because, like, who else was it? Unless he fucking shit the bed and blamed her. But, like, then why wouldn't her argument be he did it? Like, she's never said that. She's been like, it's the dogs. And then someone else that worker testified that she said it was a prank gone wrong. So she's admitted to it. Like, bye, Gonzo. So yeah, I definitely think she shit in his bed. Because, as I said, I've heard stories about people shitting, using shit as a weapon in romantic relationships. But then again, if she shit in the fucking bed, like, then she's nuts. Like, you know, it's not something a normal, reasonable person does. Does prank gone wrong mean, oh, only I find this funny? Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably. That's the only thing I can think of. Lads, it was a shit joke. So I was thinking, like, the only way that some of these things could, like, easily be explained away is if they were into mad shit. Like, excuse my, didn't mean to make that pun. But, like, if she'd been like, we were into scat play, that was actually just a picture of our bed after a bit of scat play. Like, then you would have been like, you wouldn't have known what to believe. You know? And that's kind of the same thing I was thinking about the bottle. I'm wondering, is there any possibility that they did 2 follower notifications come up there actually at the same time? I'm seeing one in the center of the screen and one on the left hand side in my, like, Twitch dashboard, but I'm only seeing one on my Streamlabs, which is weird. Has that been like that the whole time? Who in the right mind think putting crap in the bed a good prank? Exactly. Incredible. We don't know what scat is. Scat porn. Poo play. With prankster partners, like, I just want a normal day and not check the toilet for cling film. Yeah, sure. Do you remember Prank versus Prank? Like, super huge channel on YouTube. Like, eventually broke up, and I fully think they eventually broke up because they just fucking couldn't stand the sight of each other anymore. It's like, I'd say, like, the relationship probably became traumatic because, like, the stuff they used to do to each other they were kind of one-upping each other constantly. It was just like, I remember, I think at one point he put, like, insects in her food, and she did just stuff just as bad to him. It was just like, so it really wouldn't be something I would want. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking, is like, my only thing is, like, what if the bottle thing, because I think that people who misremember, we'll say, things that happen, build their version of events off something truthful, and then they just turn it into something different. They interpret it differently to maybe even how they interpreted it at the time, or to how anyone else would interpret it, right? So what I'm thinking is the only explanation really for that story would be if maybe he did penetrate her with a bottle once, but maybe they were like, it was a consensual weird thing. And then she took that as a story to be like, okay, this is now a story of how I was abused. Because again, I just feel like it couldn't have come out of nowhere, do you know? It's too nuts. Like, it's too mad to make up out of nowhere. But then again, she said he headbutted her and broke her nose and gave her 2 black eyes. And that has been proven, not proven, but, like, essentially proven to not be true. So like, people are saying she didn't have the 2 black eyes and she didn't have the injury she claimed to have. So therefore, does that mean he didn't headbutt her? And does that mean then that it just didn't happen. Does that mean she made it up out of nowhere? So then if she can make that up out of nowhere, can she make up the other thing out of nowhere too? Prank versus prank was Gina and Jesse Kirk's. Yeah, but boyfriend versus girlfriend was also them. It was the two different channels. So one of them Jesse took prank versus prank and called it Jesse, and she took boyfriend versus girlfriend and called it Gina. And they kept creating separate content then, and people stopped watching them as well. I think it's obvious that the people we were talking about are not in their right mind. Yeah, that's fair enough. There was that other prank couple too. Thank you for cheering, Mark. So, can someone tell me, like, when somebody subscribes, where do you guys see it? Do you see it in the middle of the screen and the bottom left-hand corner, or just the bottom left-hand corner? Like when somebody follows or subscribes. If somebody could follow, that would be really helpful for me to figure out if I've got two sets of alerts on or not. Millie. She's going to go off again soon because Alex is going to come home and he's going to put the bin out before he comes into the house. So she's going to be like, Rah! And then he's going to open the door and then she's going to run to that door and be like, Rah! Okay, Pagan Plays now following. So ye all saw that in the middle of the screen there. How did I get those on it? Did you see the one at the bottom left? So there's two. I'll get rid of the one at the bottom left. Okay, that's better. What's an emote wall? What? Just one on the left of the screen. But Mark saw it in the middle of the screen. Pranksters in Love. Oh, I never saw them. Yeah, we only saw the rainbow fall on the left of the screen. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. I just didn't want two different sets of things coming up. I'm like still just not really au fait with all of the ins and outs of Twitch, and I want nicer emotes, or not emotes. I want nicer like notification thing. I don't really like it anymore. I want a nicer one, but I can't remember where I got it. I got it on some site where they were free, and I cannot for the life of me remember what that was. So, but yeah, do we have anything else? Is there anything else to talk about with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp? I thought there'd be more to talk about with the poo, but actually there really isn't. It's just, I just can't wait till they get cross-examined and bring it up. Kirk's asked me earlier, would I be interested? I nearly spelled my D. He asked me earlier, would I be interested in live streaming, like, reaction to it? And maybe I would actually, yeah, when it comes back. I just have to see what time it goes here, but it seems to be going during, like, at least the end of my day, because I was, I've changed my mind now, I don't care. But yeah, because I've logged in loads during the day and seen it. Sorry, I just need to blow out this candle because it's gone a bit nuts. God, I love a good scented candle. Love a good scented candle. Oh my God, the Fillmore. The fucking footage of her posing for the camera on the stand was bananas. Like, come on. Like, that was obviously a pose. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to buy into, because the thing is, I'm really concerned about, like, buying into misogyny. I feel like a lot of the discourse around this, when people are believing Johnny and they're, you know, Team Johnny or whatever, it's, some of it is turning into misogynistic discourse, and I'm trying my best to, like, stay away from that and be cognizant of that and not engage in that. But the fucking, and so I was like, here, there's no way she posed for a photo on the stand. Like, they're just being misogynistic or, like, accusing a woman of being dramatic or whatever. But she definitely did pose for a fucking photograph. Like, there's no other explanation to what she did. Or, although a load of people on the internet apparently have a conspiracy theory that she was sniffing cocaine out of that tissue, which is just, that's nuts. There's no way. Like, no, that didn't happen. That was a crazy conspiracy theory. Amber being cross-examined is surely going to be juicy, and sure, you've no problem filling time. I have no problem talking. Yeah, so I think I will. I'll check what time it's going to be on, and I might live stream my reaction, because I didn't know I would be allowed to do that, but everybody else is doing it, so hopefully I won't get banned. Everyone else is doing it, so surely it's fine. Free overlays from Gale Level Gum Road is a great place for overlays that are free, but you can donate to the artist, who is a Twitch guru kind of person. Oh, I might look that up. I don't think it was a photo, though. I'm convinced it was the screen. See, she put the thing to her nose, didn't blow her nose, just, like, held it there, froze while looking down, so you could argue she's looking at the screen. Then the flash goes off, then she suddenly goes back to it. It was too coincidental. I'll go on the record being neither Team Johnny nor Amber. That said, I'd see one of his movies with her as long as he doesn't do another shite movie. That's funny. So yeah, I might do that. I'm gonna put some tinted lip balm on. So, feeling fancy. Do we really think that her attorney will allow her to testify? Mark, where have you been? She's been testifying the whole week. The flash was from the screen in front of her. Oh. Okay. Well then, it really did look like she posed for a photo, though. But that's, I suppose this is part of the problem with, like, all these clips being clipped out of context and going viral and stuff, because they are out of context, and that was presented as it being a photo, and she definitely did pose. But, like, I thought I heard a camera click as well, though, but maybe not. But yeah, Mark, yeah, she's been testifying for the last couple of days, and that's part of the problem on her side, I guess. That loads of pundits are saying, like, why did she testify? Like, she might be ruining her own case. So yeah, she's going to be cross-examined when they come back. One thing that people also pointed out was, I know that I talked about, said I haven't watched the body language videos yet, but I did notice, like, people were saying that traditionally an abuser's body language, like, somebody who's been abused won't want to look at their abuser. Like, they'll just avoid looking at them at all costs, which is exactly what he's doing with Amber. He's, like, not looking at her ever. Whereas she's, like, looking around the room. She, like, is not afraid. She did this sort of thing where she got down off the stand at one point, and he was, like, on his way out, and she sort of did this big exaggerated, like, ooh, and hide behind the podium. But, like, she saw him coming from a mile away and still walked out. in order to do that big dramatic jump. And then also people were pointing out that if you are a victim of abuse, you are like, and you're in the same room as your abuser, you're fully aware of where they are at every second. And so he couldn't possibly have taken her by surprise. We couldn't anyway, because he walked, he was there across from each other. He got up and went to walk out. Like, I don't know how. Yeah, I suppose, Kirk, you're right. Yeah, like, we haven't suffered abuse, so we can't really talk about it, or can't really, like, we can only speculate, basically. She might not have anticipated him walking towards her. Like, I don't know. I think if I'd been in that position, I would have been like, he's trying to leave, going out this direction, and I'm going to just sit here until he is out of the room. But again, yeah, I don't know. The thing is, the problem is that the stakes are so high for this. So if it turns out that she's lying, it's a big fucking deal, because victims so often aren't believed. Women are afraid to come forward. And like, it will give all the fucking fuel in the world for people to be like, oh, women are lying, blah blah blah. But if she is lying, on the flip side, it will give attention and bring awareness to the idea that actually men can be abused too. So yeah, it's just very high profile, basically. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. I just don't find her very believable. But again, I'm trying to be like, it's not about whether or not she's believable in the stories that she tells, and the way that she tells them, and the way that she behaves, because you don't know how abuse affects someone, blah blah. So the only thing I'm really I'm trying to only build my opinion off of is witness accounts, and so far the witness accounts have not supported her version of events. Excuse me. In other news, will we talk about some other news? Like some me news? Spreadshirt, or spread fucking whatever my fucking merch shop is, reached out to me, and they offered me the opportunity to make plushies. Now, I'm not going to do it, but I just wanted to tell you about it. Because I was briefly like, I could make a Millie plushie. But unfortunately, you have to do a minimum order of 300. So I don't know. And then you have to sell, it has to be within 30 days. So I don't know if that's feasible. But I thought that would have been cool to get a Millie teddy. Yeah, 300 is a lot. I think, 20 average viewers on Twitch. Be tough to sell 300 in a 30-day period. But yeah, you never know. Maybe in the future it might be an option. I thought it was cool. What I'd really like to do, two things I'd really like to do, is a plushie and pins. You know, those badge pins. Those are a bit more affordable. You do have to buy them. You have to buy like 200 and sell them then. Whereas with the hoodies, it's order on demand, so I don't have to put up anything in advance. But I would be up for doing it with the badges, because I really love the badges. Soda Poppin did really nice plushies of a little pink cat he has as a channel icon, and Justin Minks did nice ones of her cats. Yeah, I think they're a really good idea. I'd love to do one, but I think those bigger streamers would probably work with a company who you wouldn't have to put up the money up front and stuff, because they know that they're going to sell that many. But like, for me, it'd be I don't know what the word for is. It wouldn't even be a gamble, really, because I definitely wouldn't sell 300 in 30 days. So I don't know what the word for that is. Like a fool's gamble, I guess. And anyway, I have a story. I have a story for you, right? Okay. So, was I telling you the story of how I lost my wedding ring? Okay, right. So, Kirks, you know how I lost my wedding ring. Very quick summary, just in case anyone else doesn't know, is that I posted on TikTok. I did post on TikTok, correct? That I was out on a night out. I was in a friend's garden. And we were drinking, and I was saying that I had a soft spot for a certain rugby player, and I made the joke. I was like, if they were single, and I took my rings off and I put them on the table, and everybody laughed, and I was like, ha 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 ha, I got my laugh. And then I put my rings back on, and then as I put my rings back on, what specifically happened was I got to the top of my finger here, and then I noticed that the wedding ring was on the outside. It's meant to be on the inside. It's meant to be the one closer to your heart. Oof, hard to listen to. Is it too loud? Or do you mean it's a hard story to listen to? And so I was like, oh shit, I better swap them around. And then I went to take it off to swap it around. And as I did that, I dropped the wedding ring. And no, it's just sad. And I was like, shit. And then I put the engagement ring back on, and then I was like, I've dropped my wedding ring. So I got up, and we all like used the phone and the lights everywhere, because obviously it was nighttime. It was dark, and we shone the lights around on the phone, and we couldn't see it on the ground anywhere. And then I pushed my chair back and realized I was sitting on a drain. And then I was like, oh God, that makes sense then why I didn't hear it fall. And to be fair, as I said, my friend who owns the house put his hand down the drain to try and find it, and just came up with a handful of shite. And but basically I have an update, right? So I was talking to, first of all, I was talking to another company to make me a replacement, and it was going to cost me €650. And I was like, well, I fucking deserve that, don't I? Like, that's my own ball now. And so I was supposed to get Alex's fingerprint at home, and I couldn't get it, and it's taken me a couple of weeks. I was looking for ink, and then we got the ink, but the ink was like, by the way, what Alex did when he got the ink was, this is the thing, ink, right? So he's doing a fingerprint, and he goes, like, is he an idiot? Like, what? Why would you go, like, he takes his finger back out, and his finger is black up to there, and I'm like, are you dumb? Lad, exactly. Lad. Yeah, so anyway, and then so I was like, oh fuck, how am I supposed to get this thing? And I emailed them to be like, can we come in and do it in house? And he was like, oh, I don't have like a fingerprint thing, you just need to do it yourself. And I was like, okay. And he sent me like this video where you like draw on your finger, and then you do it with, and I was like, God, we actually used to do shit like that in school, actually. So that was going to be my plan. But then I was in Try yesterday. This is the big update to the story. I was in Try yesterday, and I was leaving Try, and I picked my coat up and put it on the table, and then I picked up my bag and put everything back into my bag, and then went and picked up my coat to put it on. And as I picked it up, right, something flew out of it and hit the chair and made a noise. And then I was like, oh, you mean office supply expert Alex didn't have an inked stamp pad available? I don't think fingerprint pads are office supplies. And so anyway, it flew out, and then it hit the chair, right? And I looked down at the chair, and I was like, that's a ring. It was like I short circuited. I was standing there, I was like, that's a ring. And in my head I was going, that looks very like my wedding ring. And then I like picked it up, and I saw the fingerprint on it, and I was like, that's my wedding ring. And Colin and Sean were like, what? They hadn't heard the story. They had no idea what was happening. So I don't know. Is my jacket here? No, it's not. So I have worn that jacket. It's been weeks since this happened. I've worn that jacket loads. I've hung it up downstairs. I've worn it to tag, I'm pretty sure. I've worn it to set. I wore it to try. I wore it on the bus in and then took it off on the bus and then carried it for the rest of the week because it was too hot. Like, I've been carrying that jacket around and I had turned all the pockets and everything's inside out, so it wasn't in the pocket. So, like, it must have been just stuck in a bit of material, and luckily it only flew out somewhere where I could see it and hear it fly out. I'm so fucking lucky. And what I think it must be was my jacket has this like Velcro bit here where you can make, you can pull it in and make the wrists smaller. So I'm thinking it must have got jammed in between that strap and the Velcro, because anywhere else, like, it would have come off before now. And I also shook the fucking jacket on the night. I brought it into the house and shook the jacket just to make sure. I am the luckiest girl in the whole world. And then it gets even better, right? So not only did I find my wedding rings, happy days, so I actually get to keep my actual wedding ring that's from the wedding. I don't have to buy a new one that is nothing to do with the wedding. I rang the place I had been about to get my ring with, and I was like, is there any chance I can cancel it? Like, you haven't started the ring. And he was like, yeah, no worries. Like, we weren't starting the ring till you gave us the fingerprint anyway, so it's actually grand. And he was like, how did you pay your deposit there? I give it back to you. And I was like, oh no, like, I totally understand. I lose the deposit. It's my own fault. Like, and he goes, no, I'd rather give it back to you. And so he refunded me the deposit. So it didn't cost me anything, which is amazing. So shout out, not sponsored, but shout out to the Wedding Band Shop, I think it's called, in the Powerscourt Townhouse Centre. Amazing. Is it Wedding Band Shop? The Wedding Band Shop, Powerscourt Townhouse Centre. Yeah, that's them. Absolute legend. John the Legend that runs that. So yeah, it's very exciting. So that's my big news. I found my wedding ring, and no more joking about how I would take it off for other men. It's wedged to my finger now. I'm only taking it off in this house before tag, and I'm putting it in a safe place, and then I'll put it back on when I come home after tag. Outside of this house, this ring does not come off. That's the way it's going to be from now on. No more jokes. Was Alex happy, or did you get a lecture? Alex was delighted I found it. He couldn't believe it. And we're also even, by the way, because previously Alex lost it for a period of a couple of weeks and found it in somewhere like innocuous eventually as well. I think I found it for him. I think I found it behind the dresser, and or something like that. It was somewhere, or it was like in the bed, or was somewhere like, again, where you would have looked, that it just sort of showed itself. And so he lost it for a couple of weeks. And so did I. So now we're even. By the way, yes, you can use a well-linked office stamp pad to take someone's fingerprints. Oh, sorry, an office. Oh, I see what you mean. Like this the stamp thing. I get you. I thought you meant an actual fingerprint pad. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, an office stamp pad. Yeah, I didn't think of that, actually. He should have. Pretty much, if he's the office supply king. So yeah, I'm so happy to have my rings back. It's very exciting. I was feeling very naked without it for a while. Ooh, hang on. There's pet pics in the Discord. Oh, it's Mark's calendar. Very nice. Oh, happy birthday, Mark. Your birthday was 2 days ago. Happy birthday. Do I have a message in the moderator only? No. It doesn't seem to. Carbon Forms, I don't know if you're in the chat here, but I liked your suggestion of a death counter on Twitch. How would I do that? Do you know? I just added a note on that rat guy from earlier. Oh, okay. I wonder if a Twitch follow channel on Discord with stream cord notifications would boost viewers. Okay, so like a new channel, like not using this current sub. Oh, Twitch follow channel. Can I do that? Can I let people join the Discord if they just follow? Yeah, I would be happy to create a follow only Discord if you thought that would work. Mark, I wish I could take Clare to my latest farming area. I got about 250k runes in an hour. I want to play Elden Ring. I'm going to play Elden Ring tomorrow, Mark. So if you think I can get to it tomorrow, then let me know. But if not, I'm going to play Elden Ring tomorrow, definitely. Geez, we're so close to 680. Be amazing if we could get to 680 before I log off today. Will we go for a game of Wordle? Wordle. Anybody who doesn't want to have their Wordle ruined for them, now's your time. What's your opinion on Starfield getting delayed to 2023? I have to find out what Starfield is first. A game. An upcoming action role-playing video game. Okay. Why is this? Is this meant to be like a deadly game? Will Starfield be like Skyrim? Starfield is like Skyrim in space. I need to start Skyrim, but I'm still playing Elden Ring. Any other games? Top PS4 games right now. Dark Souls. Well, I'm already playing Elden Ring. Death Stranding. Final Fantasy 15. Doom. Dishonored 2. Rise of the Tomb Raider. Fallout. None of these are appealing to me, really. Bloodborne. Persona. Do you know there's never any rugby games in this? GTA 5. I have GTA, don't I? I think I do. Fortnite, The Witcher. Oh, I liked that series. Metal Gear Solid. Marvel Spider-Man. Might be interested in that. God of War. Last of Us. What is that? Brutal violence. MASH is one of the most engrossing game storylines of all time. Oh, I hate game storylines. Although, that's a glowing review. Last of Us 1 is also excellent. Mass Effect Remastered Trilogy. Horizon Zero Dawn has a redhead female protagonist fighting robot dinosaurs. Hell yeah. Okay. Wordle. House. Enter. Magic. Okay. Grouse. Oh. No, that's too long. Oh, why did I do that? I moved the U. Anyways, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, so the S can't be there or there. So it's potentially the last letter. And the G isn't there or there. And the U's in the middle. So would it be something G U something S? G U egg no sit. Slung. Oh, how are you so good at this? God damn it. Loodle is really hard because I don't know the bad words. That's the problem. Penis. Okay. So it's I and an S. And there's also a T. T-I. T. No. I-T-S. Welcome, Doc Fate, first time chatter. Feel free to follow. Trying to get to 800, is it? There we go. Right, penis moist taint. That has not helped me. Oh, it has helped me in that the T isn't at the start. So the S, it's I-S. It's I-S, and there's a T somewhere. T, and it's not at the start. So it's either a second letter, T, or it's, this one allows you to do gibberish, doesn't it? E-O-I-T-S. No, it doesn't let you do gibberish. That would make my life easier if it did. Spits. I can't imagine that's a bad enough word. Right, so it is ITS. It's not tits because that's too short. Shits? No, because this S isn't meant to be here. No, it was a good shout, Kirks, because now I know where the T goes. Okay, so what letters have I left? So it's not E, O, P. Grits? No. Clits. Plural, really? Jesus, Mark, you're good at these. I'm so bad at these. I actually wouldn't get these if you weren't here. Last one. Hurdle. I love this one. No, I want to do one of the movie ones though. I will get copyrighted for this, so I'll have to take it out of the clip afterwards. But anyway, whatever. Oh, hang on. I'm going to need to be able to hear it. Don't tell me what it is now. Absolutely key here that you don't tell me this. Okay, hang on. I can't hear it now that you can hear it. Give me 2 seconds. I'll say it anyway. There's another day to find you. Take it away. Take love away. Take me on. Take on me. I'll be gone. Take on me. Is that not A-Team or something? Take on me. Aha. A-Team. Submit. Oh, I can't play it. I fucking love that one. I'm good at the hurdle now. And I like the other one. The other one, the framed, is the last one I want to do. Framed dot. Is it WTF, did you say? Yeah, there we go. Ooh. Is this Independence Day? Independence Day. What? Am I spelling independence wrong? Independence Day? No. Independence Day. Day. No. Okay. So it's not Independence Day then. I don't know. Z. Like a Z for zombie. Fuck it. Go Zero Dark 30. Okay, so this is an alien film. I don't think it's E.T. I think it's slightly more serious than that. Don't tell me again, by the way. Hurdle is the farming word. The farming one is Herdle. Okay, whatever. Oh, now I know what it is. Oh my god, I thought it was a Marvel movie and I was like, no, it's too serious looking to be a Marvel movie. This is... Who's in the background there? Is this... This isn't The Boys. Is it The Boys? No, because that's not film. I'm torn like between Star Trek now and Marvel, but that kind of looks Avengers-y to me in the background. Which fucking Avengers film? Fuck it. Ah, it's not. It's the crossover between. It's the Avengers crossover with the fucking. Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm gonna guess Guardians of the Galaxy, and then. But I think it's an Avengers that mixed with Guardians of the Galaxy. I got it. So it was. It was just the Guardians of the Galaxy. Love that film. Love that film. Well, thank you for joining me. I think I might get offline now. Because Alex will be home soon. But thank you for joining me for the last few hours to talk all things Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Yeah, I like the old commentary streams every now and again. I like the Elden Ring streams because they're good fun and we can go for hours. But I quite like getting all my thoughts out on the commentary streams every now and again. Because otherwise, I'd just be talking into my mirror constantly, and that's not a joke. So it actually really helps me to get all my thoughts out, so I can stop fucking regging people in real life, regging their head with my thoughts. Because I've already got them off my chest. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks, Demon Hat. I would pronounce it Damon. Daemon. But apparently it's Demon. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for following and cheering and gifting subs and joining. I'll think about doing a follower Discord. I'll talk to Carbon about it and see what the crack is. Slán, guys. Bye. Bye.